But it's rare. In Bengal, the many devotees who are, this is tradition there. They from nature, they have this rhythm. But the Westerners, some were attached to this, what is called Schlager? No. This rhythm in them, what they play in the Ö3 or something. I don't know how they call it now. And every kirtan is like this. It's same from the beginning to the end. It must be loud, then you don't hear anymore. This is, you have to try to learn this. Yeah. You have cartels at home? Yes, you take small and try to follow a kirtan, a good kirtan. And you try to follow the rhythm. Otherwise, Mataji, she is also a very good musician. She knows. So, what you want to hear, or you have some question? Chaitanya Bhagavat. It takes 15-20 minutes until we come in. We open our ears, and then time is over almost. It is the divine pastimes of our Guru Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, told by Chaitanya Vrindavan Das. If you concentrate, you can dive in these pastimes. It will be like they are as they would be performed just now. It is Nitya Lila, it is called Nitya Lila. Nitya Lila means all this what we are here, what they telling us, they are going on in some universe. Every moment Krishna appears somewhere. So one can dive in the eternal world, in the Vaikuntha. Then we can be part of it. One can see this when one meets real devotees who are like our Gurudev. He showed this sometimes. And he was reading Chaitanya Bhagavata many times, mostly in Vrindavan. And he understood. Then he could not speak for some time. Sometimes he was crying. And his voice choked. He could not. He has to very much. Also Prabhupada. Just in a moment when some other devotees spoke about Radharani, he was changing his color of the skin, and he very much his body was very much in emotion. They brought him in his room, and for 3 days nobody could see him, nobody could enter him. This is a sign of these ecstatic symptoms. So when we get purified, when our mind gets turned off, you must find the button to turn off the mind, because the mind has nothing to do there. It is everything spontaneous, everything is natural, everything is happen as here and now. This is how we have to approach and how we can hear proper. So this chapter is telling the performed Vyasa puja of Nityananda. So there was many devotees assembled. And soon after the devotees assembled, began chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. Srivas Pandit was appointed the head preceptor for the Vyasa puja. And upon receiving instructions from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he executed them carefully. So there was a puja done and all the ceremonies according to Shastra. And Srivas Thakur was in charge of arranging all this around. So a continuous sweet kirtan converted Srivas Pandit's house into a spiritual world of Vaikuntha. Well versed in all scriptures, Srivas Pandit performed the ceremony according to the strict injunction of the scriptures. He gave Nityananda a garland of fragrant flowers and said, "Oh Nityananda Prabhu, please take this garland." After reciting the appropriate mantra, offer your prayer mantras, or offer your prayers and obeisances to Srila Vyasadeva. The scripture enjoined that one should personally garland Srila Vyasadeva in his worship. And if Srila Vyasadeva is satisfied, then all one's spiritual desire will be fulfilled. Malyam samabhayami is the mantra one has to speak. Somebody who is interested to perform puja to deities, he can learn all these mantras. It is very Brahminical. So the more Srivas Pandit spoke, the more Nityananda repeated, "Yes, yes, yes." Apparently he paid no heed to Srivas' words and seemed to not know which mantra to recite. He held the garland and muttered something softly underneath his breath, which nobody could hear, and he just looked all around. Srivas Pandit reported the matter to Lord Chaitanya. Your Sripad does not want to worship Srila Vyasadeva. He gave the garland to Nityananda. That was Vyasa. Day of Vyasa puja. That is the day where generally it is now, I think, in 1-2 months. Also we will celebrate he should worship him. But Nityananda, he did not know well, he knows of course everything, but he did like not speaking the mantras properly. So, and Srivas thought to Lord Chaitanya, your Sripad does not want to worship Srila Vyasadeva. The Lord immediately came to the presence of Nityananda and said, Nityananda, please listen to me. Offer the garland to Srila Vyasadeva and worship him. Nityananda saw that Chaitanya was there, and he immediately placed the garland upon the Lord's head. So he put the garland on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Vyasadeva is one incarnation of Supreme Lord. So he noticed Nityananda, and he put it on there instead of the form of Vyasa. He put it on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The fragrant flower garland on the Lord's curly hair made a beautiful sight. In that very moment, Lord Chaitanya revealed his six-armed form to Nityananda Prabhu. The Lord held in his 6 hands a conch, a disc, make, a lotus of Vishnu, and a plough and club of Balaram. Seeing this, Lord Nityananda Prabhu immediately went into an ecstatic trance and fell unconscious, with no symptom of life. All the devotees became very afraid and started praying, protect him, Krishna, protect him, Krishna. These are pastimes of the Lord. You don't now think that there was growing some hands out, 6 hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is not visible to our eyes, how he manifests. But Nityananda and Chaitanya, Krishna and Balaram, they have transcendental bodies. So they see the transcendental bodies of each other. So while the son of Jagannath Mishra roared loudly and repeatedly slapped his sides, Chaitanya then bent down to lift Nityananda up from the ground, saying, Nityananda, please get up and steady your mind. Listen to the chanting of the holy name that you have begun. The reason you descended to this material world is to propagate the chanting of the holy name, and now you have perfectly succeeded in this mission. What more do you want? You're the absolute proprietor of the treasure house of Krishna Prema, the embodiment of sublime devotional love. No one can receive Krishna Prema unless and until you distribute such nectar. Therefore, please get up and look around you. Glance mercifully upon your own beloved associates who surround you. You may distribute this greatest wealth to whomever you desire. If anyone nurtures even the slightest dislike for you, then although he may worship me, I will never accept him as dear to me. So, how Lord Chaitanya was appreciating that he did not, if they're not respecting Nityananda, then he can never enter the highest or Mahaprabhu will never accept him as a dear. Lord Chaitanya was brought Nityananda out of his trance upon seeing again the Lord, 604. He went into a state of great ecstasy. Nityananda Prabhu is non-different from Ananda Sesha, in whose heart Gaurachandra is an eternal resident. Without a doubt, Nityananda is non-different from Balaram. Lord Gaurachandra is the Supreme Person of Godhead, the source of all incarnations and pastimes. Therefore, that he should manifest his six-armed form is not astonishing. In his incarnation as Ramchandra, he offered oblations to his departed father. At that time, his father, King Dasharatha, appeared in person to receive the oblations. If this can be considered wonderful, then the Lord's six-armed form is also wonderful. However, all of this is natural for the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, because his pastimes are extraordinary and supramundane. Nityananda Prabhu's natural propensity is to serve Gaurachandra. And he is never distracted from this service, even for a moment. Just as Lakshmana served Ramchandra constantly with his mind, body, and heart. Similarly, Nityananda Prabhu constantly engages in Gaurachandra's loving devotional service. The Supreme Person of Godhead is the Lord of every living entity. He is unlimited and the source of everything. Yet he enters the material realm and causes the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world. According to the verdict of the Vedas, he is the absolute truth and the supreme controller. Yet he remains unaffected by the phenomena of material nature. So it means everything is created by him, everything manifests. But he is unaffected by the external nature, material nature, what we experience as real. He is not a member of this world, of this illusory world. In spite of his supreme lordship over everything, Ananda Dev, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, is eternally engaged in rendering loving devotional service to Sri Gaurachandra in every yuga and in every incarnation. So wherever Krishna appears, in whatever form in this material world, as Kurma, Matsya, Parashuram, Ramchandra, Krishna, he never appears alone. Always Nityananda or Balaram is with him. So his natural mood is to serve his Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. As Lakshman, he became the younger brother of Lord Ramchandra and served him constantly. He neglected eating, drinking, sleeping, and other such activities to constantly serve the lotus feet of Sri Ramchandra. Yet he still felt unable to satisfy his intense desire to serve. So this is one sign of a real servant. Even he is day and night engaged to serve Krishna, not ourselves, to serve Supreme Lord, to please Him. He will always stay unsatisfied. He will always think, I did not do enough. I could not please Him. This relation becomes so intense. That this is maybe we cannot imagine this as a member of this mundane world. As Sri Balaram, he was the elder brother of Sri Krishna, yet he could not forsake his attitude of service to the Lord, which springs from the deepest core of his very self. He always referred to Krishna as his master, and he was always in the mood of rendering loving devotional service to Krishna. Such is the wonderful nature of Sri Nityananda. One expansion of Nityananda is, or Balaram, is Ananta Shesha. Only the most foolish rascals will see a difference between Sri Nityananda and Sri Balaram. One whose disrespect a devotee who is fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Sri Vishnu, commits a great offense at the very lotus feet of Lord Vishnu himself. Sri Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, is so elevated that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva offer praise and worship to her. Yet she is naturally inclined to serve the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu, Krishna. Lord Balaram, Anandasesh, is the omnipotent Supreme Personal of Godhead. Yet his natural inclination is to serve the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Sri Gaurachandra feels most satisfied when he can describe the glorious and wonderful devotional attitude of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. It is the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gaurachandra to be subservient to the devotional love of his devotees. Therefore, the Lord especially likes to glorify his own dear most surrendered devotees. There's a special significance in hearing the Supreme Lord glorify his own devotees. The Lord and his devotees like to glorify each other, and this may increase their attachment for one another. I have faithfully presented that which has been propounded in the Vedas and Puranas about the relationship between the Supreme Lord, Sri Vishnu, and his unalloyed devotees. Lord Nityananda has only one thought in his mind. Lord Chaitanya is my Lord in every respect, and I am his devoted servant. Whoever considers me to be the servant of my Lord and Master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very dear to me and receives my shelter. For the pleasure of Sri Nityananda, I have described these pastimes of his seeing the six-armed form of Sri Chaitanya. Nityananda always sees the transcendent pastimes of Chaitanya. Nityananda always sees the transcendent pastimes of Chaitanya within his heart. And Chaitanya always exhibits his transcendental pastimes in Nityananda's heart. Certainly, the two brothers always see one another. Yet still, the specific services Sri Nityananda performs are always in accordance with the pastimes of the Lord's particular incarnation. Although Sri Nityananda is the Supreme Person of Godhead, he always serves Sri Gaudiya. The Supreme Lord does accept service from himself. Who can understand such ecstatic pastimes? The Supreme Lord does accept service from himself. Who can understand such ecstatic pastimes? We have to understand that Nityananda and Gaudiya, they are not different. Everything is him. And we are also a part of him. But we are rebels. We don't want to serve him. We want to serve our tongue, whatever. We have separate interest, means anatas, it's called. So we are not, have not developed this attraction, this deep closeness to the Supreme Lord. This is why he appeared in this material world, to give us a taste of a higher taste. Krishna Prema. So we are all part and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Balaram, all these very close, Lakshmi, all the demigods have different positions, and all the humans, all the demons, they are all part and parcel of Supreme Lord. But everybody chooses his own world. He has forgotten, we have forgotten our position. But Nityananda or pure devotees never forget their position. The Vedas and Puranas have revealed these philosophical matters. The Vedic literature is actually a compilation of all the wonderful pastimes of Supreme Lord. Moreover, it is the foremost object of the Vedas to propagate the pastimes of the Lord. However, it is not possible to comprehend these spiritual pastimes without engaging in the pure devotional service of the Lord. In this material world, there are only a few who, by the mercy of Sri Gaudachanda, have realized the truth of the nectarine, unlimited, transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna. In this world, we should not think that there are many who have realized or have understood perhaps, but not realized the certain. So, as he says, even at this time when Mahaprabhu was there, when Davana Thakur wrote this history, there are only a few who, by the mercy of Sri Gaudachanda, have realized the truth of the nectarine, unlimited transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna. And those who have realized him, they will never think they have realized, they have understood. You will never find, you will never find. It is only the Lord, by His mercy, that um, we get connected with Him. So the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord are eternally pure and realized souls. Sometimes there are differences of opinion amongst them, which might appear like arguments. However, in fact, there is an amazing relationship between devotees. Foolish rascals who do not understand this exchange, praise one Vaishnava and denounce the other. Such a mentality will lead to destruction of faith and knowledge. The scriptures state that when a foolish wretch worships the lotus feet of a brahmana, then strikes him on the head, he will be sure to go to hell. Similarly, when someone worships the deity of Sri Vishnu, but disrespects or disregards Sri Vishnu residing within everyone's heart, he also goes to hell. What to speak of committing offenses and violence to a Vaishnava devotee? Is someone offends the tortures even an ordinary living entity, yet worships Sri Vishnu, the Lord of every living entity, then all his worship is worthless and he suffers great pain. To worship Sri Vishnu on the one hand and to be ignorant about Sri Vishnu being the super soul in everyone's heart on the other is like touching a brahmana's feet for a blessing with one hand and then beating him on the head with the other. Is this logical? It could be logical. Yeah, like this in this material world. We are accepting the form of the Lord on the altar, but we cannot accept it, the Lord as He is sitting in the heart of every living being. This means this is Kanishta Adhikari, means materialistic devotee, very materialistic. He thinks God is there. And when we open the door, then I can see the Lord. This is beginning level. Madhyamadikari means the Lord is not only takes the form. He is sitting in the heart of every living being. So, if you give pain to other living beings, means they are also part. The Lord is in the heart of every living being, even the mosquito or the elephant, the tree, every human demigod, all in the heart the Lord is sitting. So when we foolishly act to give pain to living entities, then we can never attain or will never understand the Supreme Lord. Everything, all our worship is useless. This we should always be conscious. Otherwise, there will never be peace in your mind. Will never understand, will never be capable to understand the truth. Like you touch the feet of a brahmana with the hand, with the other hand, you beat him on the head. It's like this, it's schizophrenic. Not. I want the blessing of the Lord, but I slaughter so many living beings where the Lord is also present. It's like this. And then they wonder why all this happened, what happened, why all these things. Such a big pain coming over the society. Now we see it's only chaos everywhere. Such foolish persons do not know what is most beneficial for them. To criticize a Vaishnava devotee is 1,000 times more sinful than offending an ordinary living entity. The persons who faithfully worships the deity but has no love and respect for the devotees, also does not possess any compassion for the ignorant and fallen conditioned souls. He accepts one incarnation of the Supreme Lord and worships him while he rejects another. He treats Sri Krishna differently from Sri Ramchandra, seeing a difference between them. He does not show any respect or devotion for Balaram or Shiva. Such persons are described in the scriptures as the lowest and weakest of devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam states, a devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not have properly towards other devotees, behaves no properly towards other devotees or people in general, is called a Prakrita Bhakta, an impure materialist devotee, and is considered to be a Kanishta Adhikari, in the lowest position. In the course of discussion, I have just briefly mentioned the symptoms of a neophyte devotee incidentally. So upon seeing the 600 form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda was overwhelmed. Whoever hears this wonderful pastime, Sri Nityananda is immediately released from material bondage. There's any question or any comments on everything is clear. We may close here. Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Sri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Srila Gurudeva ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Antikal Pudalo Vyasa, Parsam Vyasa.